Welcome to the Power Up Talk Show, a talk show where we bring together amazing people that are making a difference in the world. I'm Sandy Spady, your host, and we like to begin with Dion Bass with Dion Bass Songbird Cocktails.
Thank you, Sandy. It's wonderful to be on the show again. Good morning, everyone. And today I am going to make a quintessential party cocktail. Now this one I call Pretty in Pink because it has a wonderful lush pink color and it has a lot of flavors that derive from tropics. All right, kind of like a flamingo. So we're gonna start out with our lime juice. This is gonna add the acidity to our cocktail that we need to make it balanced. And then our next ingredient is going to be our fashionola. Now fashionola can be made of many different fruits. I prefer to use passion fruit and strawberry. Now our final three ingredients are going to be a little bit of wonderful. So we use our velvet falernum liqueur. And this is going to give you kind of a hint of fall spice and a lot of deliciousness. And then who hasn't had some 99 bananas or 99 something?
99 red balloons.
Absolutely.
I remember that song.
It's an 80s song, yes.
Who doesn't remember that song? That song was awesome. And then our final ingredient is going to be our plantation rum. Now keep in mind this bottle is a little bit older, and so I believe they've rebranded the name into something different. But who's not a fan of the classics? And we know what time it is once we add up all of our ingredients. It's time to give her a shake. All right. And last but not least, we want to pour into our beautiful glass with crushed ice. And then we have pansies and pineapple fronds as our garnish. Wonderful. And here we are, Sandy. Do you enjoy the rest of your show, love?
Thank you, Dion.
You're welcome.
Hello, and here we are. Let's toast before I introduce my amazing guest. Okay. Oh, so pretty. You smell the flower.
Yes, delicious.
Oh my gosh. We are in for a treat. I have a beautiful soul. I met her shortly after I moved to Omaha, and she is just an amazing woman, mother and wife. Dulce Sherman with, let me get this straight from my girl, Owner and Chief Executive Advisor of Sherman Executive Consulting. All right. Hello, my, okay, Pretty
Sandy.
in Pink friend.
Yes.
Right. Only her. She gets me. We're both wearing pink. We didn't plan it. Wonderful. Thank you so much for being on my show.
Thanks,
There's
Sandy.
so much, right? 30 years experience in HR, human resources, 30 years experience, people advertising. So we're seasoned. We're experienced. We know what we want. We wear pink if we want to, but we have great things to share with others. Tell me about how did you venture off? You were with nonprofits. You've helped so many people over the 30 years. How did you venture off and do your own thing?
So I started in the for-profit industry, then moved to nonprofits, and decided, obviously after our tragedy happened with our son, he took his life about 5 years ago. That's when I decided I needed to open up my own business. And I remember sharing that with him, and he was so excited for me. So it was a great way for me to navigate my grief as a parent.
Wow, that was strong. Navigate your grief. All right. She's going to be a speaker at the Women with Voices event, October 27th, and I have 10 amazing women. And October is a lot of awareness for suicide, cancer, mental illness, and we always try to bring multiple women together for that event, and you're going to be a speaker because you lost your son to suicide. And There's one thing she blessed me, and I was able to go to the Kim Foundation, and how they changed, how they stated that they didn't commit suicide.
Completed, completed suicide or death by suicide.
Because no one commits it. Like they're at that minute, right? They're not thinking about it. They're so deep in sorrow and sadness, right? I have a brother that committed suicide at age 28, my grandpa and my uncle. So, and now I just found out that my brother's best friend committed suicide, not committed, death by suicide. See, you have to change that.
Yes,
and
it's really important.
And it's so important. And how you started your business, because how did you say that you navigated through grief?
It was a way COVID was happening. I mean, I was successful in my career and was working at a nonprofit, and then my son took his life, and I had shared with him that I was going to open my business, and he was really happy for me. And then I decided, you know what, this is a way I can honor him, is continue go through my business, but be able to navigate my grief, because during COVID you had a lot of Zoom meetings, and so I was able to kind of hide behind the video and mask my grief at the time, but still move forward with a goal that was very important to my heart.
What can you share with the audience as a mother, right, going through this? I still remember my mom when she got that news today, and she fell on her ground, like on the ground when the two sheriffs show up. Like, how can you share with any mother, how did you cope? How did you get through it? What if you're thinking that you have someone in your life that you feel like they might be thinking about it? Like, share with the audience just like things that you could share to educate, and maybe just self-awareness.
Well, our son had been suffering from depression, and he also suffered from autism, which, a lot of people think that, depression by itself can be the condition, but there's usually a secondary reason that may be cross-sectional with somebody's, life. That's very important for parents to be aware of that. If they have a disability, they might also be suffering from depression. The other thing too is when that happened, I honestly don't know how I really got through that time. And I really think about the groups of women, people like you, that came forward and shared their experience to really help me understand that I wasn't by myself. And they really gave me the power to take this opportunity to not see it as a tragedy, but to turn it into an opportunity to help other people.
Yeah, and it's that silence, right? And it's that shame. And I remember when my brother died, some people just didn't talk to you. Like, they didn't know what to say, right? And years later, I said, all you had to say is, I'm sorry.
I was just speaking to your daughter about that, the analogy I like to use, not that I like it, is that you're almost like wearing the scarlet letter, the invisible scarlet letter, and everybody doesn't want to talk to you because they're worried about offending you, or they're ashamed, or they think that you're going to become upset. And honestly, grief is a journey. You don't know from day to day how you're going to react. Like today, I'm having a really, really strong day, thinking this is going to be a really good opportunity to help people break through.
It's so true, because silence doesn't heal anyone, right? You got to take the shame off of suicide, because it's a mental illness, and like you said, it could be two factors, right? And it's like taking the shame out of it and just bringing reality of mental illness, and the reality that it doesn't have to be a quiet, you don't have to go through it alone, but finding like Kim Foundation, right? Finding the foundations and the help to help you get through it as a parent, and to help the person going through grief. Was there anything that you want to share with the audience, as far as you're going to speak with the Women with Voices event? What do you want to share with them? What are you going to share?
I think, when we went through it, my advice would be is don't stay there. Don't stay in that grief. And especially when I think about the celebration of life for him, it was a way for me to honor him as a really kind person, and the opportunity to really think about how I'm going to carry his legacy on through his kindness. We've created a scholarship that honors students at Metro Community College like him, that have autism or are majoring in social services, or they're, want to buy food or meds for mental health. That's an opportunity of how we can share that kindness to others that may be suffering from depression as well.
Yeah, the kindness. It's so important to be kind, right, in the world we live in. And I think there's so much hatred and even like with suicide. For so long, I didn't even realize or heard that my grandpa and my uncle killed themselves, right? Because the family keeps it a secret. And you need to know and share those because you don't want it to happen to someone else. As far as like the steps of getting out of grief, right? There's the 5 steps of grief. How can you share, how'd you get through those 5 stages of grief?
Well, part of self-care is being able as a person to identify when you need help. And this is part of depression, is that there's no shame in asking for help. And even as a mother, as a wife, as a sister, grandmother, being able to identify that we needed a grief counselor. And so we have been seeing a grief counselor for the last 5 years. I would highly recommend that. There's nothing wrong with that. Being able to walk through grief with another person that you've lived with, your husband, who's probably grieving differently, recognizing that not everybody grieves the same way, and just acknowledging that we are people that are feeling the way we do, and knowing that if what we do can result in helping another family. Like we've got parents that we created a support group, Healing Through Hope, and it was just basically 2 moms. Her son passed away a week within our son, and we were having coffee, and I said, it's just so great to be able to talk to somebody about this and not feel pressured about any kind of specific questions about what happened, but just having somebody else that's gone through the same thing that we have, and just knowing that there's somebody else that understands. And I think that's probably what resonated with me and you, is that we had met, and then when this happened, you reached out and said, hey, by the way, I too had this happen. And I was just like, huge relief. And how many people just started coming and saying the same thing. And that's when I realized there's an opportunity to help people.
I know. Let's talk about that opportunity, because she has a great voice. You're a public speaker. You talk about a lot of things like business-wise, leadership, but you found your voice really in that area to help other people go through suicide awareness. What do you like to do? Like, what would you like to see yourself? Where do you want to go with that? I mean, do you have a book in mind? I mean, I feel like you're so confident. Like, she's so compassionate and loving, and you're so approachable to people.
Oh,
that's your gift, right? Yes.
So are you. I'd say that's why we connect so
That's why we chime. Yeah. So what do you have for the future for that? Like, I feel like that's a door God's opening.
Yes, I really, one thing too to recognize that as you go through grief, some of your relationships are going to change just because you have a totally different focus. I mean, I would say that my priorities have shifted quite a bit. My faith is really important to me. Who I'm with, how I spend my time. I used to be very involved in politics and lots of boards and working, but now it's a lot very family focused, very faith based. That kind of shifts. I do see myself writing a book, now that I feel like I'm healing.
Yes.
And also speaking more about it. Been at conferences, been on panels. Every time I do a pitch in my business, I always have a slide about suicide awareness, and trying to connect policies and handbooks with employers so that they can think about, here I was an HR person dealing with depression with a son that had depression, how I navigated that working mom profession. How are our policies applying to anybody that's going through that right now? And how are they applying to the grief process? Are we being, realistic? Yeah, compassionate, realistic when somebody comes back or needs time off. I will say that when I went through it, this has really got me to start my business. Was I came back from my 30-day leave with my son, and I was immediately laid off. So those kinds of knocks and hits are things that you carry with your thinking, I need to educate employers about how to treat employees that are going through a major life change. How can we be kind to each other?
That is so smart, right? I've worked in corporate. I've worked, a lot of years with different companies. And when my brother died, I was a district manager, retail district manager for the vanity store. And the owner of the company came and visited me, and she gave me like additional time off. And I had like 4 states. I had all these stores that I was, a regional manager for. And she said, you take as much time as you want. And I never forgot that. Wow. The owner, it was a privately owned company at the time when it was cool, right? And she came to me in person, and that I will never forget. But it could have been the other way, right? I was in retail. I had 5 states, 100, lots of people under me. And to have that happen to you, and you being in HR, that's powerful. Like that's your keynote, right?
Yes.
Absolutely, you're going to bring that in, because people aren't realizing in the world we live in now, and I'm a keynote speaker too, the power of community and connections, is that people want to be seen, heard, and remembered, right? They want to be seen. I say, do you have a community page? Are you giving back to the community? Like, you don't only need an about page, you need the community page, because people with one swipe, they're going to look at what your values.
Exactly.
In the world we live in, one swipe, right? It's so important for you to work with companies to find that community tab on there. A lot of people don't have it. Smart ones do. But to work with them and say, we have to have more compassionate now. Like, not in the old days in sales and what we grew up with. Like, that's not even legal, right? Let's just throw that there. But we did it. But now we don't have to. And I feel like the young professionals and businesses today, they want their employees to get them.
I agree.
Yeah, get them as a firm, get them as a business. And I think it's so powerful. Hire her. Okay, I'm just saying right now, I mean, you have such a great view lens that you can help these people navigate their businesses, because when you don't take care of your employees, what happens? They leave. And the percentage of dollars that go out the door because they have to rehire and retrain.
Exactly.
That's beautiful. I love how you bring that in. What else? Like, what else do you feel like, I say we're seasoned, experience. What else do you want to do with your life?
Well, I am gravitating my board service. I've done a lot of board service, and now, as you mentioned, I'm on the Kim Foundation board, and I'm going to be the MC for their upcoming loss.
Okay, right here. Yeah, girl, I love it.
And that's in October, and the loss team is really amazing because they actually work with families that have lost someone to suicide. So they're actually helping them heal, because they've been there, done that.
Yes.
And so I will never forget the Kim Foundation. When we lost our son, they were like the first to bring a bag of books and things that we needed. And, when you're going through that, it's kind of like you're in shock and you don't know what to do. And eventually I did look at the materials and the books to know as a parent, oh, what I'm feeling, I guess, is normal, or maybe not, kind of thing. And should we see a therapist, or there's other people we can talk to, kind of thing. And I think, if anything, what I've learned from this is that you take yourself seriously, but not so seriously that people get offended by what you have to say. To be kind, to always be thinking, because you don't know what someone's going through. And, especially when it comes to friends, and think about my son, how people can be unkind in situations, especially using devices and sending a message without really thinking that person has depression and how they might take the finality of that message. Really makes me think about how we talk to each other as people, and just to be kind. And so oftentimes when things happen, I don't really react to things anymore like I used to, because I feel like I've gone probably through the worst time of my life, and I kind of put it into perspective of what I've gone through. And then this, I could get upset, but really what's important, what's keeping me grounded as a leader, as a mother, as a grandmother, as a another peer to another leader, what do you want your legacy to be? And I'm really living that for my son, to honor him.
I think that's beautiful. I think it's so great that you have support. I know one of the first speakers at Win with Voices, she lost her son to suicide over a text message and his first relationship. And her hashtag is, hashtag kindness, right? But it's when we open up and we share, and you have that community that you had, that other woman that was living through that. I know when my brother died 1994, they didn't have anything, nothing. You just had to deal with it. And a family of 6 is like, I don't think we've ever been back together for a family holiday again since then.
I think what you mentioned earlier, the term commit, suicide was considered a crime, and that's why it was called commit. And I'm a preacher's daughter, and I remember growing up also hearing from my mother that, suicide is a sin.
Yeah.
And I guess the way I see it is I did pray to God to help, take over, and I put it in his hands. And in a way, I do see that God did save him. He healed him. So, the scripture says, for God so loved, his son.
Mercy.
Yes. So to put ourselves in that position to understand
Yeah.
why it happened or how it happened and what's going to happen in the future.
Yes.
To look forward to.
And it's God is love and mercy,
Yep.
plain and simple. And we need mercy for each other. We need kindness for each other. And we need to come together, right? And share those journeys. That's what I love about Women with Voices. We're just ordinary women sharing.
Yep.
And that's when people heal, right?
Exactly.
Tell me, if you could pick any 3 people to have dinner with that have mentored you, let's say, right? Because you've had great mentors. I've had great mentors, right? Who would those 3 people be?
My father would be one of them.
Yeah, pastor living wherever.
Oh gosh.
I mean, obviously your son, but I mean,
My son, yeah,
Yeah.
but
they have like
I would
mentored
say
you.
my high school. She was my. She taught us business, typing, and so she was the one that motivated me to go to school.
I want that.
And then the third person would be my first boss. She hired me at age 14 in an old home in the kitchen. And I'll never forget one day I came in really sick because I wanted to come to work. And she just kind of looked at me and this was the first sign, she said, are you not feeling good? Because I wasn't feeling good. And she just says, I'll cover your shift. You need to go home. She was just like that.
Kind.
Very kind and just very wise woman.
So true. That just made me think of my mentor was my home ec teacher in high school and my cheer coach.
Oh my goodness.
And so I think our high school teachers like they need more glory.
Oh, I know.
They're doing so many first touches that inspired you, inspired me.
Mm-hmm.
And I just shout out to teachers because they really are the first ones that can influence and be kind. And my first boss too, I was a drive-in theater car hop, and my first boss, husband and wife, very nice. So yeah, it's great to look back at the people that have touched us and how they kind of formed us in a way. And now I feel like that's our calling, right? As women leaders, you're a Latino leader. How do you feel you want to lead in that area? Because you are one of the first amazing ones. I feel like out of Omaha that's really taking up the stage and like helping.
Well, I think just being a human.
Yeah.
I'm not anybody special. I'm just an ordinary person. My parents were immigrants from Mexico. I'm firstborn gen. That anybody can be successful here. Life is what you make of it.
Yeah.
You have an opportunity, even when things go bad or poorly, that you have a choice to decide, whether you stay in that sadness or whether you move forward. And I don't want to negate the grief process because that is very important that you deal with it, and everyone has their own journey, but that you can propel yourself forward, either by, honoring the person that has passed, surrounding yourself with women, powerful women like, you and the groups, my family, my sister Esther was really huge in supporting me. It's really amazing how many people came forward that I didn't know very well that just were very kind to us. Yeah. So it's giving that back.
So it's not being afraid. If you feel like you might know that person that close, because we didn't know that through the chamber, and I was like, I can relate. I'm going to share that, and by relating and sharing, that's when wonderful things happened, and that person needs to know that.
And I think too, when you talk about our community, my community, there's still a stigma that mental health does not exist, or I remember hearing, oh, don't cry, even growing up, don't cry, what are you crying for? Our feelings are something we need to acknowledge, and so if I can be that person that can help people understand that it's okay to seek help, that what you're feeling is, probably you do need some help talking through, or this is natural kind of thing, just having a sounding board other than yourself, because we know having those talks with my son about his depression, how many times he would have this negative self-talk about himself. And people that suffer from depression don't think they're good enough, they're not worthy. But being able to, and I think this is where my job helps me navigate people with imposter syndrome that can easily go to mental health, being able to question, to challenge that way of thinking, to say, this is not true. You know, I'm not worthy. Do your due diligence when it comes to, we do that at work. We set up the best teams, you know, around us, but we don't do that for ourselves as people. And we deserve that same support that we do at work for ourselves.
So true. I mean, so true. I just love everything about you.
Aw.
All right, how
Thank
can people
you.
get a hold of you? I mean, you'd be wonderful to work with, wonderful to bring as a speaker. How can they find you?
Oh, I am on LinkedIn. You can also email me at Dulce, Dulce, at ShermanExecutiveConsulting.com. My phone number is also listed on my LinkedIn page. But send me a message, an email, or even through LinkedIn, or get a hold of Sandy too. She knows how to find me.
I do. And this is it, audience. Come October 27th for the Women with Voices event. We have 10 amazing women. Suicide awareness, mental health awareness, and cancer awareness. Because when we come together, we come stronger. And I just thank you so much for being a wonderful gift and guest, both.
Thank you,
and for
Sandy.
being my power pink woman. I love that.
Aw.
She knows I love pink. And I just want everyone to know that you can make a difference. That you don't have to be in the silence of depression. That there's help out there. And sometimes don't be afraid to ask, because when you ask, powerful things happen. And when we come together as a community and we build each other up, it makes it build a better community and a better life for all of us. So remember, go make a difference, be nice, be kind, and share your journey. Thank you.